Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. So for today's video, we are in fact doing another full face of Sheglam makeup, but this time I'm gonna do another mystery pick. So I'm gonna be adding all of the Sheglam products in here, giving it a little shimmy, and we'll see what we're gonna use for today's video. Before that, I do want to mention I am breaking out quite bad, really bad. I was really debating whether to make this video or to just film something else that didn't involve showing my face, but then I was like, everybody breaks out, and if you don't break out, I'm jelly. Everybody breaks out, everybody has textured skin. Let's get into it. All right, not too sure if you guys can see, but I do have all of my Sheglam products in here, so let's go ahead and give it a shimmy. And randomly, whichever I touch first, I will be using for today's video. So I ended up getting this Glacier Glow. Let's go ahead and add this to the face. This one isn't really my top favorite, but I do like that it kind of has that icy feeling to it. So it's probably gonna make my face feel really good. Hopefully. My face has been very sensitive lately. I feel like I have days where my face or my skin overall is very sensitive, and other times I feel like it's not as sensitive. I don't know, just me, I don't know. But I can actually like scrub my face with a towel and it won't hurt, and other times I can barely touch my face. I don't know. That primer is done. I do want to let it sit on the face just to dry a little bit before we move on to foundation. While we are waiting for that, I do want to mention I ordered a few things off Sheglam, more stuff, so I will be reviewing the Twilight collab. I'm so excited, which that brings me, if you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you don't subscribe, how else will you find me, and how else will you find the Twilight review? Anyways, all right, so I have my foundations in here. Let's go ahead and give her a shimmy. I'm actually quite nervous. This can go 50-50. Okay, so this one is the one I ended up getting. This one is the Full Coverage Foundation Balm. Now, while I am adding this, I do want to mention this is the sample. Sheglam has been killing it with their foundation samples and their shades. Okay, I do have a few new products that I recently bought off Sheglam. Hopefully, I get to pick those out just to try them out, just to give them a second chance. So this one is in shade Honey. You can tell that is a lot lighter for my skin tone, but this was a sample. I did get it just to test out the different shades. It is the one that I picked, so I am gonna go with this one. That just means we gotta go a little heavy-handed on bronzing. It'll be perfectly fine. Let's continue. Up next, we have concealers. First one my hand touches, and it is this one right here. This one is the Complexion Boost Concealer. This one is in shade Shell. I do want to say this one also is really light. I'm not gonna add that much concealer. Ooh, it's not really coming out. I know I said I wasn't gonna do a lot, but sometimes I just get carried away. I'm gonna add very little under the brows. Nothing crazy. Oh, I think I messed up. I think I added way too much, more than what I'm... Well, no, I'm not gonna lie. This is about the amount that I always add, but I did want to add a little bit less, but I went a little ham like usual. So let's just go ahead and blend this one out. Let's trust the process. Next, let's move on to bronzers. My face definitely desperately needs it right now. Let's go ahead and give this a shimmy. And then let's reach in. Not bad. This is the Color and Sculpt stick. This one does kind of come with a concealer at the end, but I want to say it's a little too... Should I use her? I'm going to use her to not have as bright under eye, just to kind of color correct. And then I'm going to use also the other side to bronze up, warm up the face. All right, this is what I'm going to do so far. I might do under the jawline. But for now, let's go ahead and blend this out just to... I need a little bit of warmth on the face. All right, so this is what the face is looking like so far. Breakouts who? She's looking quite nice. Okay, so now let's move on to blush. I'm actually quite excited for blush. For today's video, I do want to pick 2 blushes. That way I can kind of add one on the end and one on the inside. try. Let's give that a try. While I was picking out my blushes, I did have to add them in a different box just because of how many I have. First one I touch is this one right here. So this is one of their original liquid blushes. This one actually has a little rhinestone at the bottom. Oops. Okay, this one is in shade Lilac Dream. I don't know. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go in with the lilac one on the inside because last time I used it, it wasn't as pigmented. I am gonna give this a shake because I haven't used this in a hot minute. Not to the point where they're expired, but to the point where stuff settles at the bottom because I haven't used it in a long time. If you guys are not familiar with these blushes, they are kind of a little cushiony sponge. This one looks a little bit different. I don't know if it's the formula. I don't know if it's meant to be like that, but let's go ahead and add her onto the face. I'm gonna add a good bit because this one, last time I tried it, it wasn't as pigmented. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some on the nose. I have seen videos where people use this as an under eye correcting. Don't really know. I personally haven't tried it, so I don't really know. As you guys see, it did kind of mute down. There's like nothing there. Okay, anyways, next we're gonna go in with the Rose Ritual. Same thing, nice little cushiony sponge. I'm gonna add 2 dots and maybe just add one on the nose because that lilac one did nothing. All right, you guys, so this is what the blush is looking like. I did go ahead and add the Rose Ritual on the top where the brow bones are, and I dragged it down kind of to the nose just because I love that sunburnt look. Again, this one didn't really show up, but I love the lilac. I love that I have a purple blush. You know? Next, let's move on to setting powders. I don't have that many setting powders off Sheglam, but first one I touch. So this one is the Hydro Touch Refreshing. It's also pink. Real quick, I am washing all of my powder puffs, so I am going to go in with a brush. We'll see how that works. So I am going to focus this especially under the eyes. And before we set the eyelids, let's go ahead and get rid of that crease. This feels really nice on the face. It does kind of like dry it up, but hydrate at the same time. It's a weird feeling. So now let's go ahead and move on to mascara. First one I touch. All right. So this one is the Lash Bestie 2-in-1 mascara. So let's go ahead and apply this. All right, now let's do some brows. Okay, real quick, the mascara isn't giving. But anyways, let's move on to highlight. Let's see whichever one I get first. I have not used this one in a long time. This one is in shade Vanilla Frost. The applicator to this one is a whole lot different compared to the blushes. This one actually has a little wand. I don't know. One thing that I will say is that these highlights last you a long time. A little goes a long way. I'm just going to add some in the spots I always add highlight, like so. And I'm just going to ever so lightly blend that out. Okay, so for lips, I threw everything in here. Lipstick, liquid lipstick, lip gloss, and lip liners. We'll see which one we get out of the bunch. I think I'm going to pick 2 for this one. So first one I touch is this Willy Wonka one. Next. Okay, so I got this Willy Wonka one. This one is in shade Brownie Bite. I actually don't mind this liner. I'm more worried about the lipstick. All right, so like I said, the liner isn't bad. The only thing I'm worried about is the actual lipstick. So this one is in shade Daddy's Jet. It is a little bit more on the orangey side. So I'm not gonna add too much, honestly. This one isn't bad. I honestly thought the combo was gonna be worse, but it's low-key cute. Okay, so now we are at the last step. Let's finalize today's look. Let's go ahead and pick some setting spray. First one I grab, not too bad. This is the Press and Refresh setting spray. This one does smell like coconuts and it's quite nice. Anyways, all right, you guys, so this is today's look. I like it. I feel like the lips just look quite stunning. I was really worried at first, but honestly, now that I have it on, I actually might use this combo more often. okay? But overall, base, I want to say is quite nice. The concealer is creasing a little bit under the eyes. Could be the concealer, could be the foundation, could be so many different things. Personally, I don't really like that primer. I feel like that primer that I use doesn't really do much for me. But anyways, you guys, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We are all friends here. I make videos like these quite often, and I am also here for you guys on Mondays and Fridays. Anyways, I will see you guys then. Bye.